All right. So welcome everyone. For those of you on the East Coast, I hope you had a good lunch. And for those of you on the West Coast, like myself, I hope you're having a good morning so far. For the program leads who weren't on the call yesterday, I just want to give a reminder about where I come from. So I represent Southern California Edison, which is an electric utility company that's been around for over 135 years. And we provide service to approximately 15 million people in a 50,000 square mile service territory within Central, Coastal, and Southern California. Now, I've been managing our Values Ambassador program since 2018, alongside some colleagues in human resources and, of course, ethics and compliance. And currently, we have a network of over 90 Values Ambassadors. Here today, we have two of our very own ambassadors, Elizabeth Chin and Yevonn Teran, who have been our VAs, is what we call them, since 2018. Now, they both represent different organizations. Elizabeth is from our transmission and distribution organization. She's based at one of our service centers. And Yevonn works out of IT. Of course, we've all been working from home since the pandemic. But I'm looking forward to hearing from them about how they engage with their leaders, their peers, and discuss some best practices that they use as they do their outreach to communicate on our company values and also serving as a resource to all of our employees. So I definitely encourage you to ask questions along the way. And first off, I'm going to start off with Elizabeth to give an introduction of herself. And Elizabeth, just let me know when you want me to cue the photo.
Yeah, right now it's fine, I think. Hello, thank you for having me. Everybody can hear me good, thumbs up. Always want to make sure the audio is coming out good. Awesome. So yes, I am Elizabeth Chin. I am currently a Southern California Edison employee for almost 12 years now. And my role is a CAD designer for the electrical infrastructure. And that is taking design to construction out in the field. So down in the trenches with all those frontline employees there. So what you're seeing, yes. So I'm based out of Los Angeles, California. For those on the East Coast, I've been a Values Ambassador since 2018, as Tony said, and I was actually voted or volunteered or chosen by my peers, selected by my peers and my leadership to represent our region at that time, or district, I should say. So that's kind of my intro. I currently, I have a family, to 2 adult sons, 2 adult daughters, grandchildren. Love the family life. So and incorporate all these values into family life as well as work life. So the picture you're seeing there is obviously post-pandemic, as you see all the silver going on here, which is, I should say, pre-pandemic, and this is me now post-pandemic. So yeah, that is who I am. So back to you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. You know what I just noticed when I shared your photo, which I'm not sure if it actually showed on screen when I shared, all of you froze on my screen. So I stopped sharing just so I could hear what you were saying. But I'm going to turn it over to Yevonn, and I hope this doesn't happen again. So thank you, Yevonn.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, I should say, for the East Coast folks. My name is Yevonn Teran, and I have worked at Southern California Edison for almost 25 years. I'm at 23 right now. I have been primarily in the IT organization for my entire tenure. I have been fortunate, as Elizabeth, to be in the program since 2018. I was also chosen by my leadership, which is a great honor. I'm currently a senior advisor in the IT organization, supporting our customer service organization with a variety of different things, whether it be projects, portfolio requests, and just miscellaneous help desk things sometimes, even though that's not part of my role. But because I'm in IT, I got to help. I'm also a mother of 2 young men, but right now they just turned different ages. So usually I say they're 4 years apart, but right now it's 19 and 22 until my eldest turns 23 in August. So very happy to be a part of the Values Ambassador program, as it definitely is part of who I am. And like Elizabeth shared, it's just an extension that we're able to do this through work. So thank you again for allowing me to speak today.
Great. Thank you so much, Yevonn. Now, I know, Yevonn, you have an actual presentation that you wanted to share with everyone. Is that correct?
Yes, please. Do you want me to share it, or are you going to share it?
You know what? I fear if I share it, my screen will freeze again. So if it's not too much trouble, Yevonn, that would be wonderful.
Okay, let me fumble through it. So bear with me, guys. And let me know if you can hear, and also entire screen. Let me bring it up. And so let me share it in presentation mode. If you can just let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Okay.
In just one moment. It's thinking about it. Being in IT, of course, we have no glitches ever. Can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen?
Not yet.
Nope. Not yet.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let me get out of here because it showed that I could, that it was showing. So, can you see it now? No? Okay, let me go back here. Let me share again.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. We share it until we can share it. Okay, sharing.
And if need be,
okay, now it looks
Alyssa,
like...
if I send it to you, is it possible for you to actually share your screen?
Oh, there we go.
Can you see it now?
Yep, I'm seeing it.
All right, let me. I'm almost
it's like
there.
loading.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
Can
good.
you see it now?
Yep, you're good.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So what I wanted to do today was just share some of the IT best practices that we specifically do in IT. And so I want to talk about our support team, some of the engagement models, our IT values huddle very specifically, and then the resources that we leverage. So what I wanted to share is within IT, we have 5 corporate values ambassadors, and those are all of us on the top here. But what we did was we said, this is, our organization is pretty large. And so we said, let's ask if anybody else wants to volunteer and help us. So we actually have some additional values partners. Didn't want to say that they're also ambassadors because they are not part of the corporate team, but we asked for some volunteers. So these are our partners, and we meet the corporate and values ambassadors in IT. We meet every week, and then we meet with our values partners every month. And we get together and just brainstorm ideas so that we can think of how better to share the information that we receive from our corporate program. So some of the things that we do, I wanted to list out for you, is that we have the monthly meetings with the IT VA partners, as I was sharing with you. We also have value moments where we talk very specifically about whatever the value of the month is in our manager staff meetings, with other IT employees, with our partners. And then we are also invited to staff meetings. So it only takes maybe 10 minutes at the most. And our managers really like this because it focuses on values. And what's really important is if you're working with your values in mind, you really become more productive. And it creates a greater atmosphere of partnerships. So that's one of the reasons why we enjoy doing that. Another thing we do is we have a variety of sites that we post the information that we're given. So one of those is called an ITSE Yammer site. So we leverage that site so that we can share the information monthly. We use other leadership forums as well, such as our quarterly IT all hands with our CIO. And then we have also monthly chat meetings with our VP, Albert Ma. And what's nice about this is we also have a quarterly meeting with our CIO who's very interested in what we're doing. So we can talk about any hot topics, things that are coming up. And then on a monthly basis, what we really enjoy is our IT values huddles. And that's when we really talk about those spicy topics that come up. And this is our calendar. And so what we do is every other month, we have a speaker from our management team that talks about each of our values. And these are our values that we focus in on. And then we have times, we do it via Teams, because unfortunately, our very first meeting was live and in person, which was really nice to kick it off. And then we all started working remote. So we do it through Teams. All of the IT employees are invited. We sometimes also invite our values ambassadors across the corporate. Whoever wants to come is more than welcome. And so we have a variety of different topics within the presentation. It's only an hour. We allow our guest speaker time to talk about our value of that particular month. And then the next thing we do is we get a lot of great positive participation. And so this is just an example here of some of the things that we have been able to receive, which is really nice. So we feel like we're making an impact. One of the other things we do is we have some meeting energizers where we ask questions and then we feed back that information. So this is just a sample of some of the questions where the first one is a multiple choice. You know, you and a colleague have been working on a planned outage 2 hours beyond your normal work time. You discover that it will take another 2 hours to fully restore. What do? You know, we're very much about safety. Is it time to stop the work and contact your manager for support? Or, you know, do you just keep working until the job is finished? We ask these questions and then we share the answers as an example in that particular one. So this is one that we did in within Teams. And so you can see immediately the results where you had 5 people answer this one, 35 here, 2 here. So you get the results immediately. The other one, this question here was, who is your personal what is it called? Personal big 5. I always have to look at that. That specifically you focus in on what are the 5 reasons that you stay safe. And so as you can see, family was one of the largest. And in this, I know you were talking about tools when I first joined. I'm not promoting tools, I'm just sharing. There's a poll EV that we use in order to capture some of these as well. So these 2 here, we did within Teams, but we also use poll EV for a quick survey that you can quickly answer and everybody provide their information. So this is just another tool. Again, I'm not promoting it, but just something else out there. I'm sure that there's others that people leverage as well. The resources that we leverage are corporate and other resources. So what we like to ensure is that our employees know that there is corporate resources on our SCE portal site that are available. I like to always talk about, excuse me, the ethics and compliance report, because we want to make sure that they understand that if something is reported, even if it's anonymous, that something's going to happen. It's not going to be something that somebody's going to ignore. So that's really important. And we feel that maybe because of the efforts that we're doing, that's why the violations are also being reduced. Not sure, but we try to think that we hope that we're helping with that. The SCE IT Yammer site that I explained, this is how we post. And as you can see, that was reviewed by 433 employees. So just some other resources that we like to share with our team. We have EAP resources that are very specific to help employees. And so that's key. We want them to know that there's information out there. If you're feeling stressed, if you need help, you know, with a variety of different topics, this is a free service that's offered to employees. We talk about that, especially in this time with, you know, people staying home, maybe isolated, don't have somewhere else to go. So this is something else that we talk about. One thing I love is our Berkeley's calendar that we leverage, and it's a happiness calendar. So you can see every month, what is it that I can do today to make me happier, to feel better. So for today, schedule an activity today that makes you happy. So this is making me happy to do this today and share this with you. So I wanted to go over that. And then we have a lot of stress management resources as well. And then we provide the links and how that can help our employees to try to relieve some stress during these hectic times. So those are just some of the best practices that we have specifically in IT that I wanted to share with you today.
Great. Thank you so much, Yevonn. This is a lot of really great information. And I know, a big part of being a values ambassador for the company, you actually have an opportunity to actually partner with leaders in your organization. I mean, not only with your immediate leader, but with middle management or senior leaders. And I know you kind of went into that a little bit, Yevonn. I would like to hear from you, Elizabeth. How do you effectively engage with leaders within your organization?
Oh, okay. So I've been very fortunate that our leadership is so on board with Values Ambassador Program, and also very fortunate to have, the fact that I've been with the company the time I have in the roles I've had. I've crossed paths with leaders across the organization, even outside of my own region and district. So with that said, the communication with them has been just phenomenal. I mean, it's real easy for us for me at least, to reach out to them, just a one-on-one, and have that that conversation with them, because I've stayed active in the role, I think, as long as I have, and have continued to participate actively. I think they've it has stayed with them, and they've actually reached out to me as well. Can we get more information? We don't have a values ambassador. Can you talk about our values? Can you present something for us at this particular group? And so to me, that's been very effective. And I think it's really on them to support the program. And that helps me to absolutely continue to engage with them.
That's really wonderful to hear. I'm glad that they're bringing you in, because sometimes others ambassadors may feel, I mean, they're going to proactively seek, what kind of opportunities are out there to actually, to speak to employees, whether it be at large staff meetings. But when the leader's actually pulling you in, that's a whole other dynamic.
That's something.
Yevonn, Yevonn, I know you talked a bit about leadership support and engagement within your presentation, but is there anything that you'd like to add on to that you think would be beneficial for the audience to know?
One thing I want to share is that our leadership is truly a partner with us. In all the presentations that we listen to with our leaders, they're always talking about values. When they're getting feedback from others, they say, make sure that you have your values in mind when you're asking these questions. This is the type of forum that you can ask good questions, but we have to make sure that we're being still respectful as we ask questions. So definitely a partnership, and they're very approachable, which we're very fortunate to have.
Yeah, and I think just to add on, we are so huge, right? We have such a big company and so spread out that it's one of the reasons why we have as many ambassadors as we do, because there's no way we can, we kind of have to stay in our own, operating units or within our own groups, and at least try to make an impact there, because from there, obviously leadership talks to other leadership, and oh, you have a values ambassador? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. You have a presentation. So those conversations, they trickle up, to the leaders that engage with each other up above, and hopefully continues to spread, across the service territories and the company.
Great, thank you. Now, I'm curious, as you engage with leaders, is there a difference as to how you engage with your fellow peers, or how do you effectively engage with, just your coworkers? Yevonn, how about you? We'll have you go first.
So In my weekly staff meetings, I let them know that I'm the values ambassador and they're well aware. So I have the ability to help support however they need. And other managers know that I am because they attend our monthly values huddle. So they'll approach me. I had a manager to approach me wanting some direction on what he needed to do for a particular employee, and I was able to get him in touch with the proper folks. I'm not the ethics and compliance person to support if there's an issue with an employee, but definitely can direct them on where to go and where there are resources that they can leverage. So I'm pretty well known in IT as the IT values ambassador, so they know to contact me and our other team members if they have any issues or if they have any questions or if they want us to present any material in their staff meetings.
Great. You know what, I see here we have a question. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Well, so I'm kind of at the opposite end of that, being one of my peers. I am the peer, right? And as a values ambassador, honestly, nothing can beat the effect, I think, of one-on-one conversation with a peer. It was so much easier to do in person, obviously. So now I'm able to engage with them, as Yevonn was saying, through staff meetings. And our leadership in the staff meeting gives me a speaking slot, which is like a team member reporting out. Basically, we all have different responsibilities that we take on to be able to disseminate information to our group as a whole. And so very, very privileged to be able to have that slot to engage the peers and in a group setting. And this is, to report highlights from our monthly meetings that we have with our VA leadership, and whether it's a key speaker that we had, any key points, always welcome. So that is a little bit different than engaging with leaders on a one-to-one or in a bigger group setting outside of the OU. But obviously, in-person one-on-one is always the best, I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. So true. I know a lot of our ambassadors have their own personal style as to how they engage with folks. Some prefer one-on-one, and the audience actually it depends on your audience. You know your audience best. You know your colleagues best. So I know that a lot of our ambassadors do kind of tailor their communications or their engagement in a way that they know that would resonate the most within the organization. I see here we have a question from Dan, but I think you might have answered it already in the chat, Yevonn, about the resources available. Did you want to elaborate on that just out loud?
Yes.
So other folks can.
So our corporate values ambassador program actually provides us with monthly information, and then we create the monthly or whatever we want to do to share. So I'm usually I love presentations. So I'm usually the one that creates it and shares it with the IT values ambassadors and partners. So it doesn't take too long. It takes me maybe 5-10 minutes to take the monthly details, share it so that they can then share it within all of their staff meetings. The other thing we do is that every other month that we talk about in our values huddles, we think, okay, what's going on right now that's important? We leverage the materials, but we also say what's going on. Like, is re-entry back into the workplace important? During the time where it was voting season, should we talk about that? Whatever the hot topics are, that's what we will focus in on. We won't just focus in on just the value. We look at also what is going on that's a hot topic that people want to hear about. I hope
really
that
important
helps.
That helps. I mean, sometimes things at the company are going on, and you really have to be aware of the hot topics, and also at the same time communicate on something but not appear tone deaf, right? If there's something that would be kind of in conflict with the communication at the time. Carla also has a similar question. Who does the creating of the materials shared? The EA program manager, does your ENC org have a comms team, corp support resources, or do the EAs get creative? It's a bit of both, Carla. So we do, as Yevonn mentioned, we do provide materials to our values ambassadors. We have an Microsoft's Way newsletter that they can use. But also at the same time, I know that a lot of our values ambassadors are very creative, and they will tailor, the communications that that will work the best for their teams.
Yes.
So whether it be gamifying certain things, that works as well. I'm just so proud of just the different types of creativity that I've seen from them, since we rolled out this program in 2018. I also wanted to talk about folks who are field-based versus, folks who are more in our corporate office. Now, I know Elizabeth, before the pandemic, you were based at the service center, so you had a lot of engagement with, some folks in the field. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I can take that one. Definitely. When I became a values ambassador, I was new to role. I was new to the VA role, new to my role, new to the location, to the district, to the service center. So I thought, wow, how am I going to engage with people that I'm just meeting? How am I going to engage with crew members that are out in the field all the time? And it kind of going back to the first picture you showed with the posters. I got that idea, and I don't know if you want to put it up again. I got that idea from my granddaughter just sharing a poster with me that she did for school, years back, right? And I thought, wow, okay, this is cool. I mean, it's a little fun. It's a little, I don't know. Let's see what I can do with this. And so I took those values and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna create a poster each month with the values. I'm gonna put just different little things on it, and I put it in a section where I knew my peers were going to walk by. It was kind of right on the other side of my cubicle, and I ran it by the soups first, and they were whatever you need to do, right? And the good thing is that there was a lot of folks walking by there too. There was the crew guys would walk by there, other departments would walk by there, and sure enough, they'd stop. Oh, what's this? It would catch your attention because it's colorful. So it's just a fun way to engage them and to reach out to them, because, I am not, I'm in the office. I don't go to the field with them. We have some of our members our planners that do go in the field and do field checks and stuff with customers, right? But they're in the office as well with me. So I'm able to talk to them. The crew guys, the linemen, our electrical linemen that are out working on the poles, that are out working, changing transformers and such. We were fortunate that we have a values ambassador that is a lineman, and, very different, the engagement. I remember him being asked this question, and how do you engage with them? And he said, you know what, it's one-on-one. It has to be one-on-one with them. At least his comfort level was, because obviously the guys that work in the field, predominantly men, the males, and there's a certain dynamic with crews that the camaraderie thing, the guy thing, right? And so he would find those opportunities just one-on-one with with his small groups that would be out working, something he would see, something that maybe someone would approach him with, just bigger impact, definitely having one-on-one conversations with situations, and kind of guiding them, kind of listening to them, kind of giving them the resources. And that's what, what our role is. So there is a difference between dealing with your peers in the office and dealing with the field crews out there. Personally, I think I agree. I mean, I think that was the right way to take the approach with them and make the bigger impact. And I think he's actually moved on to another district, but continuing to do the work of the values ambassadors.
Great. Thank you for sharing that story, Elizabeth. Really powerful. We have we have quite a few questions that have come in since then. So let me see here. From Dan, does the VA role also include feedback or input to the program leads? Example, hotspots, emerging risks, resource needs, responsive changes. And I hope any one of you would feel comfortable to come to me or anyone else. But I know that we do hold regional meetings with our kind of our field-based values ambassadors. So we do meet with them, and I know, and that's led by a team member from Human Resources, which we have a strong partnership with. but we also break out into kind of smaller groups during our monthly meetings, and you know, we are totally open to gathering feedback that way. But if any of you have any comments on that, please feel free to share.
I can
Actually,
go first,
oh,
Elizabeth.
go ahead, Yvonne. Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. So whenever I have a problem, I just, there's a specific email that we can send information, and I always copy Tony Lynn because she takes care of it immediately. So any question, opportunity, or something for suggestion, she's always open to help. And the entire team is, I can say that.
Yes, and I'll add on to that, the SharePoint that we have that the program has put together for us has so many different tools in it for, you know, that we can use in cases where we need more information or resources. Those tabs are there. They've been created by the program for us to be able to go to and
Is Elizabeth frozen?
It looks like Elizabeth froze.
I also experienced that. I think she froze, but Elizabeth is correct.
Okay.
There's quite a bit of material available to us, and we're very fortunate to have that.
Great, thank you, Yvonne. We have a question here from Karsten. In your opinion, what are 2 or 3 areas where a company should offer skill development or opportunities for ambassadors? Is there anything that you feel you would like to see in the future, Yvonne, in terms of development for our ambassadors?
I think our monthly meetings really provides great information to us. So I'm fortunate to have been with the company a long time, but any type of speaking or engagement type of support would be, of course, helpful. And we do have those offerings available to us in our training. So if anybody wanted to take that opportunity and attend any of those online courses, we do have them available.
Great.
I'm back. I think
see you back, Elizabeth.
Glitched. Yeah, I glitched out for a second. As you see, I'm not IT. Oh, the angels are watching over though.
Deal with it.
Right. Yeah, internet had a hiccup, but fortunately, I just said a little prayer and it came back.
No worries. We're glad to have you back. We were just answering one of the questions here. As an ambassador, is there any area where you think a company should offer skill development opportunities, for you as an ambassador?
Oh, specifically for the role? I think we had talked about that in the past, in the beginning, maybe in the first year, is having additional training. And I think that's because the first year it was a little rough in role because we were so new to it, and we thought, gosh, is there going to be more training? Should we have? So I think it would. I don't know. I think it might be just a personal opinion. I think for new ambassadors coming in, there would be a benefit to having maybe additional training sessions, maybe one-on-one, with a tenured ambassador or with leadership. Yeah, I definitely believe that would have a benefit to incoming ambassadors that want to be a part of the program, just to clarify some of the gray areas. Yeah, for sure, because they come up. Gray areas definitely come up.
That's true. And, we as a program team are always looking to enhance some of the tools and resources that we have. Some of the things that we have in the queue right now. So I admit, I would say the program is still fairly in its infancy. I mean, 2018 is when we started this, but we're really trying to mature, other things like our measurement and effectiveness. But we definitely take feedback from our ambassadors seriously, and to help, hone it in the future, so that when new ambassadors come along the way, that they feel that they have the confidence to successfully fulfill the role.
Absolutely.
All right. More questions have come in along the way. So let me see here. From Anthony, it looks like SE has a comprehensive communications calendar. What kind of support do you receive in managing and creating program communications? I think this is kind of related to what we talked about earlier about, folks kind of tailor the communications for themselves, but I'll chime in just a little bit here. I do work with my co-leads before the start of the new year, so around the November, December timeframe, to really focus in on what our specific focus areas will be for that particular month. We do have a set schedule, a roadmap of sorts as to what the value of the month would be, and that's actually set. It doesn't change from year to year. But the specific taglines or the focus areas we work on, and then we leave it up to our values ambassadors to use it in a way that works best for their organization. Okay. All right. We have another question from Terry here. For a company that is about to launch an ambassador program, what would you recommend that they include as basic materials or tools to help you as ambassadors? And I think this is kind of related, but is there anything specific that you would have liked to seen, as a newbie to the role?
I don't know, Yvonne, what do you? For me, I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead, Elizabeth, please.
Well, I recall in the beginning that what we just talked about, the gray area, and knowing exactly what up to where is that line that we stop at, right, in regards to our role and engagement with the employee, because employees, they sometimes, if they want to talk to you, and it's really something very very important to them and very serious to them, it could involve going up to the ethics committee and reporting something. You can get into some really heavy areas with dealing with that, and so you need, I think in the very beginning that was unclear in certain cases, so a more specific layout, I think. I don't know, Yvonne, what do you think?
I think one of the things that I would have liked to just keep in mind and keep is that, leverage others within the same team, whether it's going to the corporate values ambassador program leads, asking questions, if you have other ideas, bring them up. But to your point, Elizabeth, making sure that you don't feel like you're alone, that you have others that are there to support you.
Yeah.
I think that's really key to emphasize with your ambassadors, that they're just another resource, and that you're not alone, and that there's others there that are available to help you.
Right.
Really,
No,
really
agreed. Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I mentioned on day one of the call, we do actually, the way we modeled our program is one ambassador to every 175 employees at a particular work location. And of course, for the larger locations, we will have a group of ambassadors, and we definitely encourage them to partner with each other so that they can, think creatively and see how they can, do their outreach to their fellow colleagues. This is another question from Mike Santos. We've heard a range of tenures during this conference. As practicing ambassadors, what do you feel is a good tenure limit for the role? Now, I know you've been in the role since we started the program, since 2018. So almost coming up on 4 years. But do you have any thoughts about that?
I think passion is more important than tenure.
Agreed. I think some of our other resource groups, business resource groups, it's typically like a 2-year, tenure that is allowed. But I think Yvonne's answer is fantastic. Yeah, I asked, I think at one point, hey, is there like a max on this? And no, I was told no, as long as you're able to do it. And absolutely, it is all about passion. Agreed.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, at the start, we do set the expectation with an onboarding ambassador that we would like you to stay enrolled for at least 2 to 3 years. But if the person wants to continue longer, they are more than welcome to do that. So thank you.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about balance. So balancing your role as an ambassador while still performing your core duties, because of course this is a voluntary role. And I want to see if you have any thoughts to share with the audience about how you do that to really find that balance. Elizabeth, why don't we have you go first?
Yeah, I can go first. My particular role as a designer, requires deadlines that have to be met for construction, and so trying to balance extracurricular activities such as the VA program. Again, it has to do with support from our leadership. They have to be on board with supporting the program and allowing you that time, but making sure that, just manage your time. You have to prioritize and make sure that you're going to be able to get your work done in addition to this. And it's also peer to peer. You have to kind of, talk to your fellow workers and at least on my level. And hey, I'm going to be out for a couple hours. I have a meeting. If anything comes up, can you catch this or that? I think that goes to our value of teamwork, is working together and respecting the fact that we are really trying to bring in this is for their benefit, right? This is and our leaders as well. This is for their benefit for us to be a part of that and to participate in these things. It's not easy. I miss some meetings here and there. It happens, but very fortunate that our meetings are recorded and we can go to that SharePoint site and pick up anything we missed. Plus the VA built the bulletin that's sent out that also has really, all our highlights. So Yvonne, what do you think?
I would agree, Elizabeth. The one thing is teamwork. So in our weekly meetings, we don't only just meet, we're actually doing things in that meeting. So as I'm creating the presentation and saying what is that we need, we'll take notes and we distribute the work so that it's not just heavy on one person. So we're fortunate in IT that we have 5 IT values ambassadors. And to Tony's point earlier, I think we only had 4 in the very beginning, and we said, I think we need more people. So we were able to actually get another person within IT, which really helped. And because not everybody's going to be available at the same time. So we distribute the work. Time management is very key, and blocking that time on the calendar to get that, whatever it is that you have to have done. And the other thing that I did recently is, because I was out on a medical leave of absence for a while, I wrote down everything that I do so that others could take it on as well. And so while I was out, folks were able to just take the lead and actually do some of the work that I was doing, because I wanted to make sure others knew how to do it. So that's another thing, having procedures on what is it that you're doing. So I think that's another good thing to do.
Really, really great insights. Thank you for sharing that. In addition to bandwidth, I know that is a challenge. Are there any other challenges that you face as an ambassador, and how do you overcome them? Elizabeth?
I think currently, the challenge obviously has been, continuing to be engaged, working from home. That was, how do we approach that? And it's just, I think once we got a little techie with the teams and some of the, the team building committees, engaging with some games that made it fun. This is, it took a little bit. It took a little bit to get there, and collaborating with other values ambassadors and in our meetings to have ideas, to put forth. And I think that's been a challenge, is to keep them engaged and make it fun. And so they're not like, oh, there she is again, right? It's a values ambassador. Now what? Because we have 6 core values and we're cycling through them. And I'm just being real honest. 6 core values. And you think, okay, we're going to cycle through these. Yeah, we're going to come back to the same one. But guess what? It's all about safety. And, we gotta keep that, first and at the forefront for our people. So you just got to get creative, and you have to reach out to do that sometimes. Yeah. Well, that's been a challenge for sure.
How about you, Yvonn? Something similar?
I would agree with Elizabeth. You have to be creative and keep thinking of new ways to engage, whether it's using Poll EV, using Teams as a survey, getting speakers, how best to share the information. But the one thing that I always have in my mind is, you know, I must walk the talk and ensure I'm a role model as a values ambassador. And I think that's one of the, not the biggest, but one thing that I always try to keep in mind, because if I'm doing things in a respectful manner, I'm hoping that my fellow employees are doing the same. And
Right.
I will call them out if something happens. Last year, I remember I was in a meeting and it was a late Friday and I had to be somewhere at a certain time because one of my children was in a play and I had to be there, and they had been supporting that play for a long time. And it was the night of the opening and you have to be there an hour early and all this other good stuff. So I said, can our portfolio please go first because I need to be somewhere. And one of my fellow employees spoke out and said, well, we all have to be somewhere. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not appropriate. So when I got back to work the next week, I'm like, you know, so the following week, I approached that individual and I let them know, you know, I take great pride in making sure that I'm trying to always be the best role model and do the right thing. And I didn't appreciate that comment. I felt as that you were undermining me. And I just, you know, we had a candid conversation. So you have to be open, just as you want others to come to you, you have to be able to go to others as well. And so that he appreciated me going to him, and we never had an issue after that. So
it's really, really great to hear. Powerful
just
story.
walking the talk.
Yes, absolutely. Which kind of brings me to my next point, actually. Are there employees who actually don't take your role seriously as a values ambassador, you know, as you do your outreach, and how do you address that? Elizabeth?
You know, I think again, time has kind of dissolved that, but a bit, because we've been in role so long. But and a lot of people know that across different OUs and different districts and departments. But no, there's still there. You're always going to have, you know, the Debbie Downers. You know, you're going to have those people, the personalities that just don't want to be involved, don't want to be engaged, don't want to participate, don't want to be on video. And those are your challenges. Those are the ones that, oh, okay, you know what, I'm going to reach out to this person one-on-one. Because yeah, initially I understood in the beginning there was it's like, what's this role for? What, you know, is this a moral cop? Is this someone that's going to be walking around, you know, that's going to be watching me and you know, I'm going to be like walking on eggshells? That happened in the beginning. That did happen. And it was a very uncomfortable feeling, you know, when people were looking at you that way, or like, why did she get picked? You know, who is she? You got that in the beginning. You got those you had those personalities, and there was a lot of morale issues in the beginning of this program in different areas, not just in mine, a lot of different areas. So we worked a lot on that, and to this day, you know, much better, as Yvonn said, absolutely much better. And you know, have worked on that. And I think, Yvonn, definitely one-on-ones is the way to go to make that impact, to have those conversations with those people, you know, and hopefully help them understand why it is important.
Yeah. Elizabeth, so how did you actually overcome that ethics cop image? It's a question that we have from one of our audience members. Is there anything you did specifically, or
in the beginning? Well, yeah. You know what, it took some time. But it really just took I think, as we were more involved with the program, talking to leadership, to the, you know, the leads of our program, it took a while to kind of get to feel comfortable with what the role is. I think we first had to know, okay, what are we doing? So we can address those issues with employees and build that relationship back up to where they can trust you, you know, and let them know, look, I'm not here to, I'm not a snitch, I'm not that, that's not what my role is. And you know, you have to be confident in the role. You have to be able to speak up if you're in a staff meeting and talk about it. Fortunately, we were in person at the time, and we can have a meeting, and I could tell them, look, this is my role. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm being taught to do. I'm learning this just as I go along. You know, I don't have all the answers right now, but as we went along, that's kind of how I dealt with it. It's just more, you know, having those conversations with them and letting them know exactly what I was doing, or being very transparent that, hey, I'm learning this, you know, this is new to me. So let's have a conversation about that, you know.
Great, thank you. How about you, Yevonn? Was there kind of a subgroup of employees who kind of, you know, the same way?
I didn't see that too much because leadership was so engaged with us. We didn't have too much of it, but you always do have somebody out there that doesn't want to engage, and that's fine. They don't have to. It's
Right.
all optional. It's all available to them should they want the information. And I think one of the things is that they leverage the information that's out there once they do see it, and then they'll ask a little more questions. So more inquiry than anything else.
Then I think also what happened is there became a bigger focus on the values ambassador. If you recall, we started implementing more ideas, such as the company portal banner. We have a banner that goes across our company website, and the internal employee company portal. And so I think when they started seeing, you know, oh, the values ambassador program, the screens inside our districts, you know, the screen, I don't know how to explain it. The TV, we have TV screens where they would post different events or different things going on. They started highlighting the ambassadors, highlighting us, and wow, there I am on TV. There's my picture and a quote, you know, from me. So that what is definitely what started making a difference with how they interacted with you. It's like, oh, this is someone that's kind of important, you know, to do this. It takes some courage. It takes courage, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, just a really good point. I know that awareness of the program, awareness of who our values ambassadors are, go a long way. So
Oh, yeah.
I definitely want to recognize those who are more, you know, who are confident enough to allow us to, you know, feature them on the TV screens, which are kind of right outside our elevator lobbies, as well as in our service center. So just to give the folks on the call some background, we do spotlight specific ambassadors. We ask them to provide a quote as it relates to one of our company values. And we actually, we feature them around our buildings so that employees are aware who the ambassadors are and what they're about. And we do have a dedicated portal page that lists, you know, every single ambassador in the region in case, you know, folks want to go out and find out who their ambassador is. Thank you for bringing that up, Elizabeth. Okay, I see here about how long after you became an ambassador did employees start coming to you for guidance? This is from Andrea. Any thoughts on that?
I attended a staff meeting of somebody else's staff, and I shared a little bit about the program. And the following day, I had one of the managers approach me. So I think the moment they know that you're available, you're approachable.
Absolutely. I was going to say the same. It was immediate. It was right away. Because even though you have those employees that didn't know who you were and what you were doing, you also had those employees that were desperate for someone to talk to. And it's like they heard this, oh, ambassador values. Okay, well, I need to talk to them, and definitely making a difference between an ethics ambassador versus a values ambassador. That title of values ambassador has a different connotation to it, and it just recently we had this conversation. I think it was with you, Tony, that we were talking about that it was known at one time as the ethics committee, and having the title of values ambassador. So it's like night and day. I feel it is, but definitely it was right away the interaction.
Thank you for sharing that. Alyssa's asking, how did you do that during the pandemic? I'm not sure if Alyssa, if that's generally speaking as they do their outreach, or specifically an action, but maybe we'll talk about you know, living in a virtual environment. And I know you already touched upon that, but is there anything additional that you wanted to say, just whether it be challenges or how we really reach out to folks? Do you actually, ping them or schedule one-on-ones? I was just curious about that.
So for us,
Yevonn?
For us, the IT values huddles are all virtual through Teams. We have our weekly and monthly meetings also through Teams. But one thing I have to say is that you want to reach anybody, all you have to do is ping them through Teams. So it's actually, I think, better than being at work, because at work you have to go find them. They're not sitting at their desk. They're somewhere else, or they might be in the meeting. Where even if you're in the meeting, you get that ping, you're like, okay, one moment, I'll get right back to you. So I think all of our employees are available to us at any time through Teams, which is kind of nice through our chat features.
Yeah, pretty much. Definitely Teams has been a great tool. I think for me as well, just, I send out the bulletin that is created by our leads, the values ambassadors, and what I do, because sometimes not everybody can participate in our meetings, our staff meetings, and due to our roles, we don't have the ability to really huddle, such as, Yvonne has that opportunity with her group to have these specific huddles. So what I do is I send out the bulletin and highlight some of the information that's in there, and I also add on just a personal quote for myself, or a personal message that has to do with the value of the month. And that way, when they get back to the office, they can read that or not. I always tell them, at your leisure, open this up, take a look at it. They put in some good little trivia in there that ties into the value. I have one employee in particular that loves those. He loves reading about history and going back to maybe a historical figure that has to do with our values. I think that was just ingenious, because you have to reach out. You have different audiences out there. Some will open it up and read it. Other people get thousands of emails and they don't open it. But I leverage that with leaders that are not in my OU. I've reached out to them across the hall and told them, hey, do you have anything in place? If not, let me put you on, on my distribution list, and you can share with your teams as well. So that's been appreciated as well. So in this virtual environment.
Really great to hear. Really great stories. Thank you for that. And I see here, Alyssa clarified the TV spotlights in the building. So I'll go ahead and answer that. We still have folks who are working in the offices. It's not like we're completely 100% remote company. So our linemen, our planners, they're still out there at the service centers, and those TVs are in the buildings and they're running. And then we do have folks who voluntarily actually go back to the office, on a hybrid basis. And so they still see those. But those same TV spotlights, we also feature on our Values Ambassador intranet site. So they're there. It's the same content. So folks can visit the portal site and take a look just to see, who's spotlighted on that rotating banner. I see here Kim has a question, and I guess this is for me. How long did it take you from start to finish to get your ambassador program up and running? So I came into my current role at the beginning of 2018, and that's when we started really thinking about how we can evolve our ethics ambassador program to focus more on our company values. And I would basically say Q1 is when we really got the ball rolling. Planning, we held a company-wide nominations campaign, worked with our heads of each organization, worked with HR and ethics to make sure, of course, our values ambassadors were in good standing. I would say it took from January through August is when we actually held our first kickoff meeting to welcome our values ambassadors. So less than a year. And I hope that gives more insight into, how we did that. But if anyone has any questions for me, as to how we got our program up and running, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I think we are at time. Alyssa, I want to thank Elizabeth and Yvonn for sharing their perspectives with us. I found it very beneficial myself too, just to hear, what you experience on a day-to-day basis. and keep up the good work. You are making an impact at our company. And I hope all of you on the call today enjoyed listening to both of them.
Thank you so much for having us. It was an awesome opportunity.
Thank you all so much.